Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Grit, Give, Recognize, Implement Time podcast. I'm your host, Steve Nathanson, CEO and founder of Strive for More. And today I want to continue our conversation from last week, where we talked about getting people to be more collaborative, to now, how do I get my team to work together? So now we're going to take last week's conversation that focused on the individual and open it up and extend it to a group of people, or otherwise a team. One of the things that I want to highlight before we get into the team aspect is I fully believe that there's a progression in life, whether it's say emotional intelligence that we're working on, emotional regulation, our own thought process and communication, is it all starts with us. And once we've mastered that, the self-mastery element, then we can extend that same type of skill set to others, to read them, understand them, best be able to interact with them. And then that extends further to the environment. That's kind of this third level. So if you've ever walked into a room and you're like, man, I could cut that tension with a knife, or you could see the energy and feel it and get excited, that joint atmosphere. That's what we're talking about, this third level, this environment. It's important because when we talk about teams, not only is there single individuals involved, there's a collective involved, and then there's also that environment piece as well, the mood. Prime example of that is, and sadly sometimes we've had this experience in work, is we have someone who is negative, down all the time, maybe hard to work with, mean to people. They just bring down the culture of that team, and they can make it very disengaging for people to want to be at work. That one individual can disrupt it. And when you have that, you can sense that. It affects how people come into work, what they think, their mood. They're down. They don't want to be there. They're less likely to interact with people. You could physically feel that. So that's why this is all important. So now let's talk about the opposite, the positive. How do we get them to work together? One of the key things is to have a common goal or mission and purpose for the team, and have that known. We're not always going to hit a home run and find that, this works exactly for everybody, and that's okay. But it's important to have that defined. We need to know what the purpose of our team is, what our mission is, what our goals are, and it has to be clearly understood as well. And we highlighted last week the importance of communication and collaboration. I'm going to highlight it again. It's important not only to have the say written down or defined, but also clearly understood by all the individuals. And that's something that we miss on. So I would put out there, what is the common goal or goals that you have? Does everyone truly understand them? What is the mission you're serving? What's the purpose that the team has? And we often find it may be easier when there's a deep-seated, say, altruistic purpose. I am making pacemakers, and I know that that's going to people who need them and saving lives. All right, we typically think of that kind of purpose, something that goes beyond the individual, something that goes beyond us, something greater. And that is a huge, huge, huge way of bringing people together and making them collaborative, is having them be a part of something greater than themselves that they truly believe in. We may not always have that. Maybe we're in a different industry. We don't have, say, life-saving medicine or devices. That's okay. There's all kinds of different people in this world. And there's all kinds of purposes that drive people. So we don't have to have this grandiose, life-saving type of purpose to a team. We have to have a purpose that's truly appropriate and right for the team. That's the key. And when it's tied to what your individuals value, that's going to resonate with them. That's one of the important things, is understanding what your team values. And there's multiple ways of discovering this. And I know some people don't necessarily like just being asked what they value, but honestly, it's a good way of figuring it out. Have them do an exercise. Better yet, talk to them, witness them, see what it is that through the actual experiences and interactions you have with them that they truly value. That will tell you. And when we align a purpose, a goal, and a mission to those values, they're going to be more engaged, which we're going to talk about coming up in later episodes. And they're going to be more likely to want to actually be at work and be more willing to make that happen and therefore be more collaborative as well. And another thing is strengths, growth areas, understanding them. Gone are the days where we now say force individual players into schemes into football. Hey, this is the scheme we run. You've got to fit into it. Now, people have recognized it's much better to craft schemes around the talent that you have. Plug and play people who have strengths and growth areas in different settings, in different positions, and it creates a stronger whole. Same thing here at work. If we want people to be collaborative, let's play to their strengths. Let's get them help in their growth areas. Let's have people complement each other. That can help bring a team together. And it actually blends into the very last thing I want to say, which is personalities matter. A team is comprised of individual people. So regardless of strengths and growth areas that they have in their, say, productivity, their work product, whatever it is that we as a team do, what's really more important is honestly, it's the personalities of the team. Do they get along? Are there conflicts? We hinted at this at the very beginning, talking about that very disruptive person who can just drain a team, create a horrible culture that no one wants to be a part of because of one individual. That impact is very real and it can be felt by everybody. So when we talk about personalities, that is important. And we don't need to have carbon copies of everybody. That's not what makes great teams. There is great research out there and studies that do support having a wide variety of individuals on the team that think differently, that come from different backgrounds, different experiences. What to look for amongst all those unique individuals is their ability to work with each other, to cooperate, to listen, to think through, to truly hear other people. That's the key. Because when we have people who get along, even if they think differently and maybe they disagree, if they can do it in a collaborative, positive way, positive discourse is good. It gets people to think. It creates better solutions. So as we look at building out our team, or maybe we're dealing with the team that we have, understanding the personalities of the team and how to fit them in together is huge. Are we going to get somebody off the team? This is something we don't do enough as organizations. Some people will not get along. And at some point, we have to ask ourselves, is there anything truly left to do? Now, you may come back and say, well, Steve, they've got to do their job. They've got to work together. Not everyone can do that. So as an organization, are you going to force fit somebody into a situation that they don't like, which is going to create the solution, the situation we were talking about earlier, and just bring that team down? Or are you going to actually move them, realign your people? What's going to truly serve you in the long run? And the answer is the latter. There is going to come a certain point with certain people when it is best to not have them interact. And we have to recognize that as an organization and be willing to do that. And this is something we're going to talk about later as well in terms of knowing who you are as an organization, because there's some acceptable losses that we may take. Because if you have that thought as an organization that say, it doesn't matter if you don't get along, that's your problem. If that's who you want to be as an organization, you're going to become known for that. And you have to take the acceptable loss of you're going to have an attrition rate. back to our focus for today, because I'm going to get into that a little bit more in an episode coming up regarding organizational culture. When we talk about collaboration, if we do have people who are not getting along, what I often throw out there is, as a manager, as a leader, can you be comfortable with what you've tried? What's going to let you know that I have done everything I feel is appropriate and reasonable to help these individuals get along? And if two people are not getting along, they're not being collaborative, and you just come at it and you say, you got to suck it up and you got to do it, it's not going to play well. For a couple reasons. You're not actually addressing the issue. It's not getting fixed. Whatever's at the heart of the disconnect is still going to be there. It's still going to fester. It's still going to grow and eventually blow up. And you're also telling people what to do, which you may come back and say, Steve, that's my right as a boss. Well, yeah, as the boss, you have the right to make decisions. What I would throw out there is, what is going to truly play better? If I just tell someone what to do, it doesn't land as well as helping them see the value in why they would want to be more collaborative, work it out. That's the stronger tactic. So when we have conflicts, that's what we want to see to get people to truly work together. So when we talk about collaboration, we get to talk about a team to work together. The communication piece is huge, understanding how to master ourselves, how to extend that to others, and then read the environment so that we understand what needs to perhaps shift and change and how to call that out and then fix it. That's important. Having a goal, having a mission, knowing the purpose of the team, that's also important, but also clearly understood by all parties as well, and aligning it with what they value. That's critical. Knowing the strengths and growth areas of your team and your players to be able to align them in the right places, right tasks, right collaborative groups internally in the team. That's important as well, which highlights the personalities. Again, a team is just comprised of many people. And at the heart of truly getting them to work together is having strong relationships with them. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This can get a lot more in depth. It does take a conversation, though, to understand the specifics of the team and the personalities. More than happy to do that with you if you want. Just let me know. And until the next time, be the movement in your life.